Hey guys, welcome back to shop. We're going to get right into this Orwellian news that's going on. I covered a couple of these in my last bit that I did. I was trying to do a little satire because I oftentimes try to figure out different ways to not only beat the censors, but to get the message out there that would wake people up. Maybe some people that wouldn't normally be drawn to that sort of message. So I don't know if it was effective or not. Probably not. Mostly when I put these videos out, only about 300 or 400 people view them now because YouTube has me shadow banned to the point where my almost 20,000 subscribers don't get the notifications when I put out videos, and I'm convinced they don't even get them on the homepage. So it's not even about notifications; they're not getting recommended my videos. So if you would, guys, if you like this kind of content, you know. Obviously, YouTube doesn't like it. They're trying to basically suppress anybody that's in opposition of anything that's going on with the Biden globalist NWO agenda. So it's getting tougher and tougher to make videos that will make it past the censors. I don't know if this one will make it past the censors or not. There's certain things that you're not allowed to talk about. Basically, vaccine side effects, especially the most severe cases, and hopefully you smell what I'm stepping in. I'm going to cover a couple stories that we talked about in that last video, just real briefly, so that we're all on the same page here. So on July 1st, the Biden White House deployed a Delta variant response team across U.S. to communities with low vaccination rates. So, or it was to be deployed. I don't think they actually deployed it on the first, but they set the wheels in motion so they could deploy their Delta variant response team. And if you remember history, not too long ago, my lifetime history, Barack Obama said it was very important for us to have a nationalized police force. So could this response team be a part of that nationalized police force? Could the contact tracing people be a part of this nationalized government federal police force? So I don't know. I'm just asking the question. Saki, we will be going door to door to harass Americans who have not been vaccinated. Now, that wasn't her exact quote, but that was the premise or the intent of what she was saying. So what she said was they're going to be going targeted by community, door to door outreach to get the remaining Americans vaccinated by ensuring they have the information they need. So the information they need. Sounds kind of one-sided because it's going to be coming from government bureaucrats, so it's going to be the information that they approve of. Are they going to be telling you about the negative side effects that could come possibly from taking the vaccination? I don't know. I mean, these are just questions I'm asking. I kind of doubt it. I think they're going to be basically espousing the globalist New World Order Marxist communist agenda to take over the United States of America. And in that world, everybody has to get vaccinated because government knows best. Because, you know, this is collectivism, don't you know? I mean, they've got to do this for the greater good. They're doing this for you. You're just too dumb to understand what to do on your own. So the government's going to send G-men to your front door. I mean, this is huge, guys. I have never heard of anything like this happening in my lifetime. My wife pointed out that, you know, maybe back in the old days of World War II, they did send some government G-men around to like basically try to sell bonds and stuff like that. And to before they had the what do they call it? Not the draft, but the when you sign up for military service when you're 18 years old. Before they had that system in place, the government would actually come around house to house and get people to sign up for military service or whatever. So. Not compulsory military service, but it's signing up for the draft in case the draft was enacted. I can't think of what it's called right now, but you get the idea. But yeah, Saki says she's going to come around there, or her, you know, they're going to send their whatever brown shirts over, and essentially they're going to come to your house, knock on your door, catch you off guard, ask you if you've been vaccinated or not. And if you haven't been vaccinated, then they're going to tell you all the wonderful things about the vaccination and tell you, I guess, why you're dumb for not wanting it. Because one of the things she said that stood out to me was she made it seem, they're selling this on the idea that many people haven't been given the correct information. You know, they're getting misinformation and even disinformation. I would argue the government is spreading disinformation, but that aside, she's saying that the reason that people aren't getting vaccinated is because they don't have the proper information. So obviously, for the greater good and the collective, they have to come to your front porch and tell you all this stuff. I mean, I guess they haven't heard of the U.S. Postal Service. You know, they can't just send you a letter. You know, not too long ago, I was pretty offended by it, but Biden sent out this letter talking about, oh yeah, here's your stimulus money, and thanks to me, ha ha ha, yeah, great job, Biden. I mean, that was basically the gist of the letter. He was bragging on himself for bankrupting our children with his $1.9 trillion never-ending deficit. So there you go, guys. That's the world we live in. Now they're coming to your house. Do you support the government narrative, or do you think on your own? Are you a practicer of self-governance? Do you believe in things like individual liberty? And, you know, the founding fathers were good and America is good, even though we have some negative things in our past. Do you believe those things? Well, you're part of the problem. According to that, I mean, I did a video like 2-3 weeks ago now about how if you said certain things and did certain things, now you're a white nationalist. You are a domestic terrorist in the eyes of the Biden administration. This is clearly divide and conquer. And it's not only divide and conquer, it's divide, conquer, and make sure your enemy can never win again by arresting, destroying, vaccinating, whatever. Suppressing. All the different things that we've got going on are straight out of George Orwell's book, 1984, or Animal Farm, or, you know, just on and on and on. Gattaca. I mean, we're heading toward these things that are just, can only be explained by science fiction movies, because a few years ago, if I'd have told you this stuff, you'd have said, no, that'll never happen in the United States of America. But here we are. It's happening. So, the Health and Human Services, I guess that's what HHS stands for. It's hard to keep up with all their acronyms. Secretary Becerra. It's absolutely the government's business to know which Americans are not vaccinated. They are telling you right here, they are making a database of people that are unvaccinated. So what is that? I mean, is that a big deal? At first, it was just going to be to go out and spread the information. A couple days ago, oh, we're just spreading the good gospel of the New World Order, and you need to get Gates and Fauci's vaccine. I mean, you have to get it. You have to. If you don't do it, that's unpatriotic. So let's read here what Barrera actually said on this Communist News Network interview that he went and did. Here's the headline down here on this. Right wing hits Biden on door-to-door vaccination education efforts. So right here, they're saying, oh, yeah, it's just a race to vaccinate, and we just want to educate people. It's all good. But Becerra is saying it's absolutely the government's business to know which Americans are not vaccinated. So they're not just educating, they're creating a database. Says it right there in the headline. So here we go. Here's what Xavier had to say. Perhaps we should point out that the federal government has had to spend trillions to keep Americans alive during this pandemic. I can almost barely say it because it's funny. It would be if it wasn't true. So it's absolutely the government's business. It's the taxpayers' business. I mean, there he goes again. You know, these leftists, they know how to use doublespeak. So let's read this and let's break this down. What he said. Perhaps we should point out that the federal government has had to spend trillions to keep Americans alive during this pandemic. So did they have to spend trillions? Was that, I mean, is there anything in the Constitution that says that the government had to print out and spend trillions of dollars to protect the citizens of the United States from the Chinese virus? Is that in the Constitution anywhere? I don't believe it is. I've never seen that section if it is, and I've studied it, you know, quite extensively for a non-legal scholar. I've studied the Constitution quite a bit, and I don't remember anything in there giving the government, the federal government, power to come state to state, door to door, knock on your door, and spread government propaganda. But wait, there's more. Xavier had this to say, and I think this is the most telling line in the whole thing. You need to really go watch his video. He says this stuff, guys. We want to give people a sense that they have freedom to choose, but we hope they choose to live. So let's break that down. We want to give people a sense that they have freedom. Maybe he should have just left that part, a sense, out of there. He should have said, we want to let people know that they have freedom to choose. Why didn't he say that? No, he wants to give you a sense that you have the freedom of choice. No, 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 no. This guy does not understand our rights. And I've warned you guys for years and years now, as long as I've been making videos, well, maybe not years and years, but a couple of years now, since I've been making more political content, I've warned you guys, knowing your rights is the only thing that basically keeps them from being taken away from you. And so many people, these leftists know now, so many people have no idea about the Bill of Rights. They have no idea of what the Constitution does. The Constitution is a limiting document to limit the federal government. And yet it's not being enforced. So, guys, this is off the charts Orwellian. I don't even know what to call it anymore. Draconian, Orwellian, pure-blown medical tyranny that we're witnessing in the United States of America right now as we walk around day to day, going through our daily lives and trying to just, put food in our mouths and keep the electric bill on. These people behind the scenes are plotting the destruction of the Constitution of the United States, the destruction of liberty, the destruction of independent thought. I mean, you're not allowed to think for yourself anymore. At what point? When did this happen? So a little bit of good news, because obviously I'm getting a little impassioned there, and that will, get me labeled a right-wing extremist. Ted Cruz introduces bill banning feds maintaining vaccine database amid Biden's door-to-door outreach program. So we've got a couple of good guys in there. Ted Cruz, Rand Paul, I think Mike Lee's pretty good. Marjorie Taylor Greene, I don't know much about her. I think that's her name. And if I'm mistaken on that, I apologize. But, they've labeled her an extreme right-winger, and just, basically the worst thing in the world. So that was kind of a little overview of the medical tyranny that we're going through here. So next up, we're going to talk about just tyranny in general and other things that you should probably, these are things that stood out to me when I was scanning the headlines in the past 24 hours. And I don't just scan the headlines. I go read the articles, but for the sake of time, I'm just reading the headlines to you and doing a little brief summary so that we're not here all day long, because I know you're busy. I know you got to probably go to work. Most of the people that watch the Hands On channel are working class people. They're not the people that are out there at the elite parties and stuff like that. So let's get on with some of this other news that you might want to be paying attention to. There was a thing, I'm not sure. I think this came out June 8th or 9th here, it looks like. Cyber Polygon 2021 to stage large supply chain attack simulation in real time. So similar to Event 201, and it may be connected to Event 201. And if you don't know, please go do research on Event 201. Event 201 was the precursor, or it happened before the COVID-19 took over the world and basically made us all slaves and prisoners in our own homes in many cases. Some people still are. I feel really sorry for the people over in Australia and some of these other more globalistly controlled places right now, because they're locked down again. Biden's talking about locking the United States down again. Are you going to put up with that? Are you going to lock down? Are you going to close your business? As for me, I choose liberty. So, World Economic Forum's Concept 2021 deals with attacks to the supply chain. This is eerily similar to the Bill Gates-sponsored pandemic simulation in 2019. That's Event 201. That's what we were talking about. So Bill Gates sponsored this Event 201. I think it's called the Hegelian dialect or something like that, where you create the problem. You create the panic from the problem that you created, and then you provide the solution. I think that's Hegelian dialectic. I believe that's what it's called. If I'm wrong about that, correct me down in the comments. Nobody's perfect, by the way. Well, there was one perfect guy, but, somebody crucified him long time ago. So the theme of this event is they're going to have a conference and all this and talk about how the biggest threat is a cyber attack, a massive cyber attack that's very similar to COVID-19, and it's going to take over the whole system and basically shut down the supply chains and on and on and on. And I would speculate more than likely, I've got an 80% gut feeling that they're the ones doing this stuff to us. They're the ones shutting down the pipelines and doing ransomware cyber attacks all over the country. These people right here that were speculating about how bad it would be if we got hit in 2021. So this year, the concept for 2021 focuses on internet supply chain failures. So they're getting ready to attack the internet. They're getting ready to shut down the internet. They don't totally control the internet right now, even though they almost do. Their tentacles go so far and wide, and even if you didn't catch it, I got a video deleted and got not a strike, but a warning that the next move is going to be a strike, and they're going to make it where I can't upload videos for a week because I questioned the vaccine. I questioned it too much. There's a whole list of things on YouTube that you're not allowed to ask. There's questions you're not allowed to ask on YouTube. So go inform yourself, especially if you're a creator. But even if you're not a creator, go look at the community guidelines related to COVID-19. There are several medications that have been proven medications that you're not allowed to talk about. I mean, I'm not even talking about recommending these things. You're not allowed to talk about them. So they've already taken over the majority of the internet, but they don't have it all. And it's sort of like the vaccination thing. A couple of days ago, maybe this is just a coincidence, but it's something I noticed. A couple of days before the 4th of July, I saw an article. I didn't report on it, but I saw this article. Don't remember where it was, but they were saying that Biden hadn't met his goal of 70% vaccination by 4th of July, or he wasn't going to meet it. And the current count at that time was 47 to 49%. I can't remember exactly. It was under 50%, but I remember thinking to myself, wow, 50% of the Americans have already gone out and gotten this vaccine. That was a little surprising to me because there's been, if you know where to look, there's been a lot of negative press that's being suppressed by the mainstream media, but there's been a lot of reports on side effects and stuff like that. I can't go into depth about it. You have to do your own research on this if you want to know if there are side effects from the vaccine. I can't talk about them. YouTube won't let me. And other people have asked me, why don't you go over and start a Rumble? Well, I'm a busy guy. I'm trying to survive here. I'm trying to get myself and my family set up for survival. I don't have time to be going and starting a whole bunch. It takes a lot of my time to run this YouTube channel and to reply to as many comments. I try to reply to most people. So, it's a big deal. And when I go and have to do that again times 2, that's going to demand more of my time and put me on the computer more and away from what I need to be doing, working on my own preps, working on my own supplies, stocking up, getting as much stuff as I can while the supply chain is up, because these fools are telling you they're coming for it. They're gonna shut us down. They liked it. Many of these globalists at the World Economic Forum were talking how wonderful it was for the environment that we had this big, massive shutdown, and how we need to have yearly shutdowns from now on, even if it's not related to the pandemic. They just want it for the good of the earth, the good of Mother Gaia. You're not allowed to worship Jesus because that's just racist and hateful nowadays, or it's quickly becoming that. But, if you worship Earth and science, Mother Gaia, or the federal government, you're totally exempt from anything you want to say. Katie barred the door. You can say whatever the hell you want. So let's hear what old Klaus Schwab had to say. Because obviously Klaus Schwab only wants the best for all of us. So what did he have to say?
A cyber attack with COVID-like characteristics would spread farther than any biological virus.
Something like that. He was probably wearing his black cloak when he said that, and whatever, meeting at Skull and Bones or whatever NWO, I don't know what it is, one of these NWO Illuminati groups or whatever. I'm sure that's where he said this, but basically Klaus said that, a cyber attack with COVID-like characteristics would spread further than any biological virus. And of course, he wants to stop that. So he needs to get in there. Him and the people at the WEF, they got to get in there and protect you and protect the internet, don't you know? So they're going to get their tentacles a little deeper in just so they can make sure that the internet does, and the supply chain, because, we don't want the supply chain going down, even though they are the ones that intentionally brought the supply chain down in 2020. How many millions of people are out of work? How many people killed themselves and committed suicide because their job was shut down, or because they got into a divorce, situation, because this whole pandemic thing wasn't just, affecting people on a, whether you're going to get sick or not. It divided families. I've seen this happen. I've seen it happen over and over. Some family members in certain groups are saying, oh, if you don't have a vaccine, then I'm not going to bring my kids around you. So they're basically using their children as pawns to force family members to get vaccinated. Unbelievable. Of course, I'm sure you guys are smart enough, the hands-on audience, I'm sure you're smart enough. You know who that was. It wasn't the people on the right that are forcing other people to. No, we believe in individual liberty and self-governance. It's the people that believe in collectivism that are trying to force this on us. Oh, here's just unrelated stuff, but this is something you should probably pay attention to. Leftist group drapes God bless abortions over 65-foot Christ of Ozark statue. Plan on selling t-shirts with the same message. Wonderful, wonderful message they're sending there. You know, that God bless abortions. And you wonder why God has turned his back on our country. It's because we allow stuff like this to happen. I asked my wife, I wonder if they would allow me to go down there and put a banner up on the twisted gun that the UN has sitting out in front of their building there. I wonder, would they allow me to go down there and put a pro-Second Amendment banner on that? Or would I be thrown in prison for life, labeled a right-wing extremist, grouped in with the January 6th protesters, and demonized in the media? I think that is the answer. So, you didn't see this? Dozens of school districts are teaching book claiming whiteness is the devil and that white children sell their soul for stolen land and stolen riches. So the left is spreading their love all around the country. And you got to see this. I'm going to put a couple of the screenshots of the pictures up here. I couldn't believe this. Whiteness is a bad deal, and it always was. This is blatant propaganda against more than half the people of the United States of America because of the color of their skin. What happened to judge a man by the content of his character, not the color of his skin? I want to go back to that. I want to go back to that ideal that Martin Luther King espoused back before he was murdered. Probably by the CIA would be my guess. Although that's wild speculation, so just know that. Speaker Pelosi's husband made millions in transactions related to recent House bills. Democrats claim she had no involvement. Move along. Nothing to see. Nothing to see here. If this was Donald Trump, do you think that he'd be allowed to get away with this? If Melania or his daughter, Ivanka, or any of them had some insider trading deal directly tied even to one of their husbands, even if they weren't directly tied to it, even if it was removed by marriage like this is, or whatever you'd say, if it's the person's husband or wife or whatever, their partner. If that was the case, do you think Donald Trump would have been allowed to get away with this? Yes or no question. I'm not going to answer it. Probably get my video banned. Let's round the video off with this. Breaking. Wicked Michigan Attorney General is using state police to go after those who made false claims about 2020 election fraud. So if you made claims that this wicked Attorney General, who was probably put in power by George Soros's money or his organizations, if you questioned the 2020 election with your false claims, they're going to send the state police after you. What does that mean? Are they going to arrest you? What does it mean? Guys, who's asking these questions? We've got a couple of people, like I said, Ted Cruz and maybe Rand Paul. Definitely Rand Paul. And there's a couple of people, that are good in all of the United States government. Why, has no one pushed for impeachment on Joe Biden? There are a myriad of different things that they could go after. They could say that, he's undermining the security of the United States citizens by kicking the door open on the southern border and rolling out the red carpet and shipping people by airplane all over the country and paying for, high-end hotel rooms when our soldiers come back and a lot of them have, issues and they can't get a regular job and they end up homeless on the streets. But Biden's not giving them any hotel rooms because they're bad. They probably believe in conservatism and old America, systemic racist America. Guys, they're painting a picture here of what America is, and you and I aren't believing it. We're just like, come on, we're not going to believe that crap. We've seen the real America. We grew up in the real America, but our children are the target of this. I wasn't planning on doing it because I really didn't want to give them any publicity. But to prove my point here at the end, there was a gay group, I guess a gay choir out in San Francisco. And I don't have the headline here, so I'm just doing this by memory. So my apologies if I missed something here. But they put out this video yesterday or the day before. And I think it was intended to be a joke, or an ultimate troll attempt at, again, at least half of the population, whatever, 75 million, however many voted for Trump last time around. It was meant to be a poke in the chest of those people. And they basically sang a whole song, and I'm not going to put it up here because, again, I don't want to promote their content. But they sang this whole song about how they're coming for your kids. Although I think it was meant to be a joke, it was probably the truest thing I've heard any liberal say in the last decade. They are coming for your kids. That's what this is about. That's what all of this stuff is about. It's not about me and you. They would just assume we don't exist anymore. It's about the children. Everything they're doing is to indoctrinate your kid and turn them against not only you and your family, but against the founding principles of this country. A push away from individual liberty, self-governance, individual thought, intellectual discussions that may have opposing views, towards a world of where it's basically groupthink or right think, and you're only allowed to say and think what the mainstream narrative says is okay. And I'll tell you straight up, guys, that is not okay with me. I will not stand by for this. I've been trying to do things for my own kid. Now, my kid is an adult now. I don't have a small kid living under my roof anymore, but even my daughter, I'm trying desperately to get her to look into this stuff. Now, in fairness, I don't know that she really does, because she certainly hasn't been looking at it as long as I have. And when you don't see the whole painting, it's kind of hard to understand what's going on. If you haven't looked at this whole thing and absorbed all of this stuff and had that moment of a red pill moment, I guess, where basically you choose to look at the Matrix for what it really is and see what's really going on. Not what the mainstream media tells you, because that is the Matrix. So, guys, again, I know the Matrix is kind of an old, tired movie. It's been around for a while, but it really does describe what we're going through right now. We have some people that just, they refuse to wake up. If you showed them everything, they still wouldn't want to wake up. They're like the guy on there, Cypher. He ended up wanting to get plugged back into the Matrix because he didn't like the reality. He couldn't stand the reality. He preferred the Matrix, where he could eat a fake steak and, and live a fake life and be happy and blissful. And, he was going to be an actor or somebody important like that, he said, and so it's hard to wake people up. I don't know what the answer is. If I did, I'd make 100% of my videos like that. If you guys have any suggestions of how I can get through to people with my little old channel here, let me know down in the comments. I'm doing the best I can. I never, I didn't take any journalism classes or anything like that, obviously. I know how to read. I know how to do my own thinking. And I would argue that one side doesn't want you to do your own thinking. And, to me, that alone, if I was on that other side, to me, that alone would make me question my own side. I'd be like, now, wait a minute. I mean, these guys over here are making some good points. Have you thought about this? Have you looked into this? But even people on the left are being ostracized when they question the left now. So this is a total totalitarian, Orwellian takeover of the United States of America through the pandemic, through cyber attacks, through supply chain attacks, through turning the power grids off, for the first time in my lifetime, we're hearing about brownouts and people down in Texas having to limit their power use. Texas, the Lone Star State. And you know why they're having to do that? It's because the government has got them hogtied. They can't do anything that they want to do. Better way to say it is that Texas could provide all the power they wanted for everybody they wanted to provide it for. The federal government has them hogtied. The EPA has them hogtied, where they have to use solar power first. They have to do all this other stuff before they turn on any backup proven power sources. This is huge, guys. This is how the republic falls. We're watching it right now in real time. It's an exciting time to be alive, but it's also very dangerous, guys. As for me, I stand for liberty, as I've said in many of my videos. I'm going to be going out here right now after we're done, and I'm going to be figuring out how many fence posts I need to put up around in front of my property and how much it's going to cost me to get a couple of Rottweilers or German Shepherds or, Doberman Pinschers or some other guard dog that I could put out here, and no trespassing signs all around my property. And I may have to make a special one that says, that means you, G-Man. You are not allowed to violate my no trespassing signs. You are not welcome here. You know, I started thinking of something really scary last night, and I'll leave you with this. What if they come to your porch and they force you to take a test? What if the results of that test are predetermined by how much they turn the PCR test up or down? What if it benefits them to have higher numbers than they actually have, so that they could continue to push their tyranny? These are all questions I ask every day when I see these news articles. I hope you're asking questions as well. Don't take this stuff laying down. Just don't do it. This is America, the United States of America. You are free for now, and you have the Constitution. Defend it at all costs. Because the future, your children, everything about liberty will die if good people stand by and do nothing, while tyrants seize power. Appreciate you tuning in, guys. Sorry this is so hard, and I'm sorry that this is depressing news. I know a lot of people don't like to hear about it, and they just choose to tune out, but I really appreciate you sticking with it and doing the hard things and watching and looking at the hard things so that you'll know and be prepared for what's coming. God bless you. God bless the United States of America. I stand for liberty. I hope you'll join me. We'll see you next time.